Gaming Bolt presents 11 things Pokémon Go players hate about the game. Pokémon Go launched a few days back, provisionally at least, in a few parts of the world, and the game/app has taken the world by storm. Of course we expected it to, it's an inherently great concept, not to mention that it is, after all, Pokémon, and anything Pokémon is bound to have that kind of an effect. But the popularity of the game has spread like wildfire, and with such a large following, people were bound to point out the game's flaws, of which it has a few. That's not to say Pokémon Go has had a bad launch, not at all. Even in its initial stages, the app is showing us its incredible potential that will eventually be realized within the coming months. But for it to do that, it needs to address some of its bigger flaws. Some of them, such as the fact that it hasn't launched in all territories, or that there's no Pokémon trading yet, or that it only has 150 Pokémon so far. Such are the problems with this generation when our own had to deal with the 151 Pokémon, will obviously be fixed in the near future. But there are others that are not so obvious that have been bugging even the most rabid players among us. Here are 11 such issues, and before we continue any further, we'd like to state that we understand that Pokémon Go is only in its initial stage right now, and a lot of its features have not yet been launched. Many of them haven't even been launched in their full capacity. This is just a list that points out some of its bigger issues in the hope that the developers will fix these as soon as possible. On the whole, Pokémon Go remains a fun game that we're definitely enjoying, despite all these issues. Server issues. We read somewhere recently that Pokémon Go's user count will exceed that of Twitter soon, so the fact that the game's servers are facing problems is really not that much of a surprise. But man, is it a drag when it happens, and it seems to happen quite frequently, given that sometimes these server issues punish the player, for instance, a gym battle win not registering, or a rare Pokémon not being registered when caught, to say nothing of the times that you can't even log in. They are actively interfering with our enjoyment of the game. IFFY location accuracy. Pokémon Go is a game that's heavily reliant on its location accuracy for it to function properly, so it's quite unfortunate that there are times when the game has trouble reading your location or your movements on the world map properly. There are fixes to tackle the issue admittedly, such as having a proper internet connection and turning on accurate location settings and the like, but still, at least the location inaccuracies are within an acceptable margin of error. Crashes. This is probably the most excruciating and emotionally painful of the lot. As it stands right now, the game is riddled with bugs and glitches. Crashes abound, and they will completely ruin your game experience if you let them, not that you get much of a choice in the matter. Instances where the game stops responding in crucial moments, like when you're about to catch a rare Pokemon, or when a Pokemon encounter is about to begin, recur a bit too frequently for our liking. Hopefully developer Niantic will get to quashing these bugs as soon as possible. Gym battle issues. This issue actually ties in with how many glitches the game has. There are two main issues here. Firstly, that often the opposing Pokemon's HP gets stuck at 1 just as you're about to finish the battle and refuses to budge in spite of all your attacks and efforts, forcing you to restart the game and begin the battle anew. The second issue is that sometimes, even after you've won the battle, the game doesn't immediately register your win, allowing others to come and claim your gym. We've noticed over the last few days that this second issue isn't a widespread problem, but, well, it happened to us once and it really hurt. Simplistic battles. When you think of all the excellent Pokemon games you played on your Game Boys and your DSs over the years, one of the first things that you think of are the excellent battles, the strategically layered and nuanced battle system with the EVs and the IVs and the type matchups and what have you. To say that Pokemon Go's battle system is a simplified version of that would be a massive understatement. It basically boils down to 3 actions: tap to attack, tap and hold for a special attack, and swipe to dodge. So basically, battles in Pokemon Go are a swipe fest. We don't expect Pokemon Go to get the full features battle system from the mainline games, but something meatier than what we have right now would be great. No active PvP. One of the coolest parts of Pokemon is training your team and battling it out with friends, or complete strangers, or just bullying random trainers and taking their money. But Pokemon Go doesn't let you do that. Instead, you have asynchronous battles via gyms, and that's all. If you want to pitch your Pokemon against your friends head-to-head, face-to-face, there's no way for you to do that. There's definitely something that needs to be added in the future, and also something that ties in with the issue of an overly simplistic battle system. No in-game social interactions. Pokemon games are extremely social ones, in that you rely on trading and battling with others, and the structure of Pokemon Go makes it look like it's even more so. So the fact that as it stands right now, there's absolutely zero in-game social interaction is kind of a surprise. Even something as simple as being able to send a message to a friend isn't included. Of course, there are some who might argue that the point of Pokemon Go is real-life face-to-face interactions, and we're not going to argue against that, but some in-game conveniences would be appreciated. Battery hog. We could go on for hours about this problem, but we won't, even though we really want to. But this is probably the biggest and most commonly acknowledged problem in Pokemon Go so far. We've been playing this on the iPhone 6, and it can actually go through 10% of your battery within 10 minutes. That's pretty insane to say the least. And that's with the power saver mode on. Let's hope Niantic releases a patch or an update that nerfs this issue at the earliest. Distorted audio. This is actually one of the issues with Pokémon Go that's officially listed on Niantic's own website. Players of Pokémon Go have reported that the audio in the game has been quite buggy, with instances of distortion or even getting delayed for no apparent reason. There's no fix yet, just restart the app. It's not that big of an issue and not one that actively stops you from playing the game, but it is one that can dampen the enjoyment overall. No tutorials whatsoever. Pokemon is one of the most inviting games for the layperson out there. In fact, the mainline Pokemon games are positively straddled with tutorials. So it's a bit puzzling to see that Pokemon Go, which by definition is going to have a far broader reach and range than any mainline game in the series, makes absolutely no efforts to introduce and explain many, if any, of its concepts and features. In fact, if it weren't for the thriving community around the game, most players probably wouldn't even be aware of most of the mechanics and concepts in-game. Device incompatibility. Ostensibly, Pokemon Go is compatible with iOS and Android devices. However, confusingly enough, the actual list of devices the game is optimized for seems to be rather small. On the iOS side, for instance, multiple reviews on the App Store indicate that the game will not run on iPod Touches, even those that have been technically denoted as compatible. On the Android side, there seems to be a wide range of devices that the game won't run on, though given the sheer number of devices that run on Android, this seems to be a bit more understandable. Pokemon Go also isn't compatible with Android N, which is a major oversight that needs to be resolved quickly. Given how much appeal the game has, Niantic and the Pokemon Company need to work on making it compatible with as many devices as possible.
Like this video? Why not give us a like and subscribe? We try and upload amazing videos almost every single day. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.